Hello and welcome to Plot Twisters.
This is a podcast where we take movies and twist the plot to see if we can make them better, and if not, more nostalgic.
At the moment, we're talking about teen movies from the 90s.
On this episode, Now and Then from 1995.
I'm Anders. Whatever it is you're looking for, I hope you find it.
I'm Emma. Get lost, nerdo.
All right, fine, I'm going. I get it. I can take a hint.
Nerdo.
What's a nerdo?
I don't know, it's more fun than nerd though, isn't it? It's like, hey, get lost, nerdo.
It's like if nerd and weirdo are it's like a weird nerd, you know? You're like
a weird nerd, yeah.
You're like a nerd, but even nerds are like, what's with that guy, you know?
What's your favorite insult, but like non-like sweary insult, like, you know, a socially acceptable insult?
I like scruffy looking nerf herder.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Fan of that. Which, by the way, hey, everybody who loves Star Wars and insults people with the Star Wars thing, like a nerf herder.
Yeah.
I'll give you scruffy looking, because even nerf herders, you could do a little bit of self-care, right? But assuming a nerf is some sort of an animal, what are you saying? You're insulting farmers? Is that what you're doing? That's not nice. Farmers are the backbone of America and the world also. They're the backbone of society.
My favorite squeeb. So this film, Now and Then, is it correct in that you have seen it now and you've also seen it then?
I've seen it now and then. I've seen it a few times. I don't want to brag, but it's not my first dance with Christina Ricci, if you know what I mean. It's my second dance. I've seen it twice, I think.
You've seen it twice?
Actually, no. Sorry, I tell a lie. We used to watch this one at the video store a lot. Yeah, this is a classic. Really? Put it on at the video store. It's like PG, put it on at the video store.
Now walk me through that. Was this like you were sitting in the room in the back with a big TV, behind like a beaded curtain, and you've got your feet up on the table and you're drinking a Mountain Dew and ignoring customers as they come in? Or is it like you're standing behind the till and there's a TV in the corner of like the top corner of the store next to the door, so that you're watching that, but then people come in and then you talk to them, and then was it that? Very
few elements of what you just said were correct. I'll give you Mountain Dew and TVs in the corner of the room, right?
Okay.
You started to paint here's what it was. Do you remember in Empire Records where the cashiers were like in the middle of the record store, right? Mm-hmm. In an island of tills, right? Imagine that, but instead of records, it's videos, and there were TVs in every corner. If there was a corner, there was a TV, and we had these magical VCRs that if you put on a VHS tape, it plays on all the TVs.
That is pretty magical. Was it quite a big store then?
Yes, long and rectangular. And pretty, it was the size of approximately 3 McDonald's.
Oh wow.
Is that a good reference point?
I was imagining like a really tiny, like, you know, the one that they go into in The Holiday. That's what I've been imagining this whole time.
Bigger than that, way bigger than that.
Okay.
Twice the size, if not 3 times the size. And so we used to put tapes on rotation, and one of them was this one, Now and Then. We put it on now and time, and every so often we'd watch it.
What drew you to it?
I was going to say Christina Ricci was in it, and I remember being a big fan of hers, but I think actually this was on my niche list of films that starred Janine Garofalo, and that's why I watched it.
Right.
So that's what drew to me. Yeah, exactly. You've never seen this movie before, I'm guessing?
Nope. Hadn't heard of it either.
Really?
Yeah.
But it's got so many famous people in it, and it's about like women.
Girl stuff.
It's got girl stuff in it. It's girl. It's got girl stuff in it.
Girl things.
Girl. Do you?
Girl.
Girl. Who's gonna recap this bad boy? This bad girl.
Why don't you do it?
All right. It's a movie about 4 best friends.
The end of the review.
That's it. It's a movie about 4 best friends. It's a movie. Come on. It's a movie about 4 best friends who make a pact that they're always going to stick together no matter what. And if any of them needs them, they're going to stick together. It is set now 1995, where they're all grown-ups. And it's also set then in the 1970s. It's got some cool, quite famous people in it. Demi Moore's in it. Christina Ricci, Rosie O'Donnell's in this movie. Who else is in this? Thora Birch, remember her? She was in American Beauty. She's in this movie. And Janine Garofalo and Hank Azaria. Side note, I'm getting hung up on the people who are in this movie. It's set now and it's set then. 4 girls who, in the past, they have this like wild summer, and the wild summer mostly consists of them riding their bikes around places, but then they go and do a seance in the cemetery, and they believe that they have brought the spirit of a 12-year-old boy back to life. And through, dear Johnny has come back to life. And they have to figure out why dear Johnny died, and they do some investigation. And in the end, they find out that he died in a really brutal, terrible, like, robbery murder thing. But it's fine because they come to terms with that and believe his spirit goes back into the grave. They meet his dad, and then they all pinky swear that they'll be best friends forever. And then they meet up in the future because one of them's having a baby. It's like girls who are friends in the past, and it's about people who are still friends after some time has passed.
Yeah,
that's what this movie's about. Hey, are we still friends? Yep. Remember when we were kids?
We were young and we're old now.
We used to be children, not anymore.
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember that one summer? I do.
And they were saving up for a treehouse, and then they get the treehouse, and then in the now times they were in the treehouse.
Yeah, that inexplicably 20 years later still looks brand new.
Yeah.
Right. I will say, and this is uncharacteristic of me. I'm gonna tell you what I think before I ask you what you think.
Oh, you finally learned to stand up for yourself and stand in your own truth.
Yep, that's what it is. I'm living my best life. Hashtag blessed. No, I'm gonna do this because normally you're right. Normally I ask you what you thought, and that way I can decide what I thought after that. No. I usually I ask you because I know what I've thought because I've seen this movie a bunch of times. But I'll be uncharacteristic. I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a little bit corny, but I did kind of like this movie.
What did you like about it?
I like the nostalgia blanket that it provides for all humanity. And I like that it was corny, but it felt pretty sincere. It kind of felt like it wasn't just 4 kids just playing around in the summer. It dealt with some pretty rough stuff, but I think it was fairly well acted, especially by the kids. I think the kids did a good job, and I like the story, and I like the nostalgia and riding around on bikes. What did you think of this movie?
One thing I did really like was I really liked the soundtrack. I really liked the music.
Oh, right.
I just looked up who it was. I thought it was going to be Thomas Newman, actually, but it's actually not. It's a guy called Cliff Edelman. And just looking at his credits, he's done a lot of kids' films. And, it's like things like he's got, like, Lizzie McGuire movie and the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants.
Oh, the movie where they mail pants to each other?
Yeah, Free Willy 3. Ugh. Just like a lot of kids movies, and sort of it's like a kind of like twinkly, soothing 90s family crackly VHS sound. And I kind of observed that every time there was an emotional moment, I knew it was an emotional moment because the score was telling me it was emotional.
Oh no.
It's like somebody looked. There was a bit right at the end when they're in the treehouse and they're all adults and she's holding her kid, and they're all just looking at each other, and there's just this very moving emotional swell in the music, and I'm like, wow, feelings, Yeah,
I do.
I like that a lot. I thought the film was a bit of a mess. Basically, I think like it's. It's just my my self-confidence is honestly just plummeting because of the amount of times I have to sit here and go, this nice cuddly kids film that I'm sure a lot of people have very fond memories of, I didn't like and I thought was bad.
That's fine, Emma. You can be the you know the big stomping monster crushing everybody's childhood dreams. I didn't watch this movie as a child and feel a deep connection with these four young women. I watched it as a teenager at a video store and thought, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, that very much feels like the right sort of atmosphere to watch it in. Actually, it wasn't terrible. It's just, I suppose, it feels like a series of snapshots that are somewhat loosely tied together, and that always bothers me about a film, about a story. I think that they've got this setup, which is that you start with the four adults, then you cut to the four kids, and then at the end you cut back to the four adults. I don't think that worked unless you had a very, very direct link between what was happening in the past and what's happening now, So, like, if it was literally a case of there was a mystery that we were trying to solve when we were kids that we still haven't solved, and only now are we able to solve it, that would kind of work.
Yeah, that's like Virgin Suicides. You remember, it's like narrated by the present boys, and they're saying we still haven't solved the.
Yeah, this story is ongoing in some way. But what happened in this film was that there was a storyline that was kind of barely even referenced in the now times. There was only one line, I think, where at the end one of the women says something like, "Hey, remember when we looked for the Dear Johnny guy?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know, I was just there." So it just feels a bit irrelevant, I suppose. It almost feels like you probably could have just had the four kids and that storyline.
So your notes are this movie should have just been called Then.
Yeah, just then. I don't know, and or perhaps we could have had just started with the kids, and then, like I said, something very directly relevant in the now times is happening, and that's why we go there. I'm just like, why am I here with these adults? And it almost feels like it was just an opportunity someone was just going, it'd be interesting to show what some kids are like when they're older.
I don't disagree with what you've said. I think, what I was thinking was maybe somebody went, what's a way we could get four very famous actors to be in a movie?
Yeah.
But like, because they probably filmed for like a day, right?
Yeah.
Rosie O'Donnell was there for probably 45 minutes. Done.
Yeah. And she's like, yeah, sounds good. I'm up for that.
Yeah, sounds good.
Easy.
Whereas the kids did all the legwork. Okay, I hear you. What was the point of the grown-up people? Hey, how about at the end? You just said it. When the one girl was like, when the one woman was like, hey, when we were kids, I found out that I met, remember that weird guy, Crazy Pete? He was Dear Johnny's dad.
Yeah.
Really?
He's my husband now.
You didn't tell us that when we were kids? You waited 20 years to tell us that you found another piece to the mystery?
How about this? And we are just we are doing the twist now.
We don't want to do a pre-twist?
It's a pre-twist.
This is a rare, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, humans of all ages and creeds. This is a rare thing. We're gonna do a mid-twist.
The problem is though, I think of a thing and then I'll be like, oh, I'll remember this, and then when we get to the twist, I'll say it then. But then by the time I remember to say it, we're already halfway through like Alien 3,
That only happened one time. Point taken. What's your idea?
My idea is, what if one of them can't move on from this story and has spent her life trying to solve it, and the others have all moved on and forgotten about it? Right, so like, let's say I don't know, whichever one. The main one was kind of Samantha, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Demi Moore. So let's say Samantha has, she's like searching for her dad, and she's kind of projecting this whole thing onto the Dear Johnny mystery. And as kids, they don't solve it because they're children and probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
Unless okay, again, like it was quite sort of contrived that they go to this place and they happen across this article that tells them everything they need to know, and it's a bit like
right about Christina Ricci's dead mom,
yeah,
and also about Dear Johnny on the same page.
It's like, okay, cool, that's convenient. Let's say they don't solve it, and the resolution to the children's storyline is, you know what, we're just kids, let's stop worrying about all of this and just have a nice time and go and play in our nice new tree house. But then she gets really stuck on it and becomes, I don't know, a flipping archivist or a detective or a journalist or something, and then is still trying to find out. So when is it Chrissy who has the baby? Yeah, Chrissy is like, I'm having a baby, please come back to the town so that you can be there for me when I have my baby. Samantha's like, oh, amazing. Yeah, because I need to find out this mystery. And then she's there and she brings it up and they're like, oh, no, not this thing. You've been going on about it. And it's for years and years. And it's been keeping this wedge between all of us because we don't want to. But then it turns out that one of them knows the truth and has been holding it back for some reason. She's like, oh, I thought you guys wouldn't want to hang out with me anymore if I told you the secret. Or I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's just a real direct relevance, which is still going on in their lives. And then around all of that, you can show, oh, also, isn't it interesting how these people have grown up from when they were kids and now they're adults and now and then. Like,
I have two things to say. The first is, hey, you know something that was cool about this movie? You know something was cool? That scene where they run into Brendan Fraser and he talks about how war is terrible.
Was it cool? Was it really random?
What do you mean random? It's the 70s. You're always running into hippie ex-Vietnam vets who are jaded and sad, you know.
Okay.
And he goes,
all right.
And they go, how's it going over there? Are we winning? And he goes, nobody's winning. It's deep, man.
You know what I want in this film about girls trying to save up for a treehouse? More discussion about the war.
And adult men giving them cigarettes.
Yeah, and then like a weird, creepy like look between Brendan Fraser and Samantha as she cycles away, where she's like, whatever it is you're searching for, I hope you find it. And he's like, huh, nice. And I'm like, you're fucking 30. Sorry, I swore. Please bleep that out.
Listen, if you put it that way, it's creepy, but it was the 70s. It was a different time. Grown men could give children advice about the world and cigarettes, and it's fine.
But and then
yeah,
there's this whole thing about Roberta's mum. Oh, my dad said she was swept away by angels, but it turns out actually she had a horrific accident.
Horrific. She suffered for 90 minutes and they didn't have the jaws of life back then.
Oh, God. And then also we were worrying about this kid, Dear Johnny. Turns out he was murdered by a burglar.
Right. Yeah, he was.
Maybe our town isn't as safe as we thought. Is that the lesson? But also we will just go and talk to this random guy who's going to give us cigarettes. You know?
Hey, but listen, is the lesson that life is chaos. Even your small suburban sweet little town is actually probably not that safe. Everything is meaningless, but also they're searching for meaning anyway because they're 12 and kids are kind of dumb, you know?
So there's a bit where Samantha falls down a hole.
Oh, yeah, when she falls into the storm drain?
Is that what it's called, a storm drain? I didn't know.
Yeah, she was in a storm drain.
I threw it out there.
It made sense. She made best friends with one of the friends. They shared friendship bracelets. She then dropped it in a storm drain and had to go climbing down to get it in the middle of the night during a rainstorm. And then there was a storm and she almost died. And
then there was this very scary clown who offered her a red balloon.
Come down here, children.
Sidebar, why do American streets have massive holes in them like that? Is there not a better way of doing that?
I'm not the chief hydrological, engineer of America, but from what, right, hydrological and hydro, whatever, right? Zeke's gone to heaven. The thing is, Mr. Terwilliger, the thing is, I believe that it has to do with the immense amount of rainfall and America's big, okay? I don't know. You ever heard of America's pretty big? Everything's bigger there. big places, wide open
Big
spaces, big old holes, and lots of roads. And when it rains, it super rains. And so they need storm drains to just flush it away, to flush that water away.
But like, I don't get it. There's clowns down there, and people fall in,
Sometimes.
and kids get in. The fact that she was so willing to be like, oh, my very cheap and replaceable beaded bracelet
They
has
made
fallen
that.
down.
It was made by
a
her
hole.
friend. It represents her friendship
I'm
and
just
childhood.
gonna hop in there during a storm.
Hop on
and there's
down.
rats and things.
Hey, did you notice that everything happened at night in this movie? They just kept doing stuff in the middle of the night, like seances and hanging out, and also at the end when that guy was like, just replacing this grave because I ran over it with my tractor, so I'm gonna replace the grave. It's the middle of the night. How come? Why not the daytime?
I don't know. I just think that whole thing, the whole storm drain thing, felt a bit like artificial peril to me. It was just kind of like, oh, the movie's kind of going a bit, it's dragging along a bit. Should we just throw something really wild in there to keep everyone on their toes?
All right, let me tell you another thing that I think was good. Let me counterbalance. Yeah, didn't you like the whole scene with Devon Sawa? And there's a scene where Devon Sawa, who we're going to meet next week when we talk about Idle Hands, which is a movie you will not like.
Oh, God.
You will not like this movie.
Oh, God. This is a really sick, twisted experiment that you're going through here, isn't it? You're like, this person seems like she could take a lot. I'm gonna put her through all of this horrible stuff.
What do life is about waking up every morning and putting your feet on the ground and saying, yes, and I will take on this. Bring it on, mountain. How high is it? Real high? Fantastic. Do you know why? Because I'm pumped to do it. I can't wait to see the precipice. Okay? And the fact that you're already, it's this experiment. Life is an experiment, right? The ants go marching 2 by 2. Hurrah! You will not like Idle Hands. Maybe you will, though.
Yeah, maybe I'll pretend to like it. That would be funny, wouldn't it? A whole episode where I pretend to really like it and see if I can get away with it. Oh, I know. I actually kind of did that with Beavis and Butthead, didn't I? Damn it.
That movie was fun.
Tell me about Devon Sawa.
So Devon Sawa was in this movie Idle Hands, wherein he something bad happens to his hands, and he also does some things that he maybe that maybe weren't okay in the 90s. Anyway, the point is, he's in this movie, and he's cute, and he's young, and he plays basketball with Christina Ricci, and then they kiss on a bench. Cute?
Yeah, it was all right.
She goes, you tell anyone, I'll go beat you up, right? But she really likes him, because kids are complicated.
Yeah. Meh. It was okay.
What about trying to remember the other things I liked about this movie.
It had a nice vibe. It's a nice place to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like suburban 90s. I don't know which state this was. Like flipping.
They were probably in like the Indiana or Nebraska or somewhere in the middle. It's flat. And there's a bunch of fields, right?
Indiana, right? I think
farms,
didn't they say Indiana? Yeah. It's like it's just a nice place to be. It's chill. It's comfy. So that's fine.
So this is a movie that is about grown-up versions of people and children versions of people, and it happens at the same time. Can you think of a movie that did it better?
Jumanji.
You're right. You know what mine is? Do you ever see the movie The World's End?
The Cornetto trilogy
The
one?
Cornetto trilogy one, right? And what I liked about that, and I think it taps into your sort of mid, plot twist, which is there's 4 friends or 5 friends or whatever, how many friends there were, who all of them have moved on with their life except for the one guy who hasn't moved on, and that's why he brings them back to that hometown.
Yeah.
Whereas everyone else is like, we're grown-ups now. Why do you care about this?
Yeah.
So, if the one character was still trying to figure out how little Johnny died, and she's obsessed with it, maybe that would have been a better...
That character does kind of appear in a couple of things. Like, there's kind of that in Romy and Michelle as well, isn't there?
There is.
There's an element of like, we've moved on, you haven't. There was also in Gross Point Blank, there was the guy who was like, 10 years.
It's been 10 years. You mean Jeremy Piven? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're right.
So, yeah, there's a few things.
But in
where
this
that comes up.
movie, everyone's moved on.
And I suppose, I don't know, do you know anyone who's like that, who's still living in flipping 1992 or whenever it was you were a young person?
I feel like I do, and I'm not going to name names or whatever because, I love all people. Okay? I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm worried that when I go to my 20th high school reunion. Sorry, I'm melting right now. My body is when I go to my high school reunion, I'm worried that I may encounter folks who are I'm living in the now. I'm a now kind of person.
You're a now and they're a then.
I'm a now. I'm going to meet some thens. You know what I'm saying?
We do need to do some kind of comedy podcast related thing when you go to your reunion, by the way. We need to figure out what that's going to be.
Oh my God.
I want to be... Put me on FaceTime in your pocket. Listening in.
We'll talk to the jocks. We'll talk to the nerds. Everyone will take a Cosmo quiz to see if they're a now or a then.
Yeah.
All right. We'll make it happen. It'll be awkward as anything, but I'll do anything for art.
Would it be weird if I went and pretended that I'd been at the school?
That's a movie. That's a movie we could do.
That is a movie.
You show up, you pick up a name tag, and you're like, it's me.
Yeah, Marlene. And I have photos that you've given me, and I've edited my younger self into them, and I show them to people. And I'm like, and you've told me about everyone.
Yeah, so you know.
So I know things about them, and I'm like, hey, Daria, remember when we had math together? That would be so funny. What would be my motivation for doing that, though? Other than just, like, japes and hijinks?
To get to the real kernel of what it is that makes me tick, right?
Yeah.
That in and of itself is a journey to the center of the soul that's worth following. Or... You've
been possessed by some kind of ghost. And the way to free your spirit is to solve a mystery from high school. In order to do that, I have to speak to your high school friends.
Yeah.
So I have to pretend I was there.
This is great. I'm trapped in some sort of a hellscape Rubik's Cube made of jewels, perhaps, right?
Is a Rubik's Cube a 90s thing?
Well, I mean, yes,
hacky
probably.
Sack, a hacky sack.
I'm stuck in a bejeweled hacky sack. That's very good.
Yeah.
That's on brand. And you have to free me from this prison that I was taken to by ghosts by pretending that you went to high school with me and unlocking the secret of the 7.
And you can talk from the hacky sack. So if I have to, if someone's like, who was your favorite history teacher? And I'm like, let me just
listen to my hack
thing up to my ear. It was Mr. Sawyer, actually.
Yeah.
What about you?
Yeah. What about you,
friend?
Yeah. Wow. It's almost, and also it's been 20 years. Nobody remembers stuff from 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
We're all broken inside. I don't remember things from 2 years ago.
I barely remember 5 minutes ago. What are we talking about?
I don't know, but I feel like it's important.
Whatever it was. I would have to wear like an old mask though to get in, so that people think I'm old too. Really young.
Some people, it's like time is
There'll be loads of opportunity for great one-liners of like, "Wow, you look really good for your age," and I'd be like, "I know," wink.
I also need to wear an old mask because no one would recognize me because I'm also look how young I wear my hat sideways and
short sleeve shirts over long sleeve shirts.
Over short sleeves.
Over short sleeves.
Exactly.
Yeah. This episode's going to be a three-fer. Three stories, one episode. 3 films.
Did we talk about the movie enough? I feel like we did.
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right.
It's fine. You like podcasts? We like podcasts. That's why we're here, both you and us. Why not bring more people to the party? Recommend Plot Twisters podcast to a friend. Because, people like content and stuff.
So we've discussed a few options.
But that was now.
And
this is then.
Then.
No, wait, that was then. This is now. Now for something completely different. It's the third twist.
We've talked about the now and we've talked about the then, but we haven't barely talked about the and. You know what I mean?
This is a very silly joke.
What about this? What about...
Can we make the treehouse more of a thing? I was really hyped about the treehouse and then they barely talked about it.
I'd like to know, you know that thing when they were like, we're only $15 away from meeting our goal.
10 treehouse dollars.
10 whole treehouse dollars. From where? And also...
Do you guys have jobs?
And then at one point, now we have a treehouse.
Yeah. Yeah. They didn't even... It wasn't even a thing. It was just suddenly we have it now.
And it was fully built and ready to go on the ground. And then the next scene, it was in a tree.
Did they say that they were getting it from Sears?
Yeah.
So they were like, oh, it's a Sears treehouse. And there was a shot of a Sears at one point. And then it was like, we want this Sears treehouse. And then it was like, now we have the treehouse.
Now we have
and also
it.
the treehouse is very important, even though we haven't spent any time in it in the movie.
Yeah, I guess maybe they... I like to think that they spent a lot of time in the treehouse after that because they invested quite a bit of money. But to be honest with you... I feel like the reason the treehouse in the future looks so pristine is that they didn't use it at all.
They didn't use it. They did say something along the lines of like, oh, we thought the treehouse was going to bring us together, but actually it distanced us or something.
Yeah.
Was it cursed?
Well, it could have been cursed. It could have been cursed.
We could be doing maybe like,
No.
we should just try and do a normal one with no magic in, maybe. Why do they want this treehouse and how do they get it?
Because
and if that doesn't work, we can have
we can. If it doesn't work, we'll not do magic for now. But if it doesn't work, there's always magic.
How do they first? Do they know it's from Sears? How do they know it's from Sears? How do they see that it's from Sears? You know, because surely you don't just have one in a Sears and you walk in and you're like, oh look, it's a massive treehouse in this shop.
Maybe they can't stop thinking about magic. Okay.
No magic.
Okay. A no-mage, if you will. Right. Maybe they met. You know, we talk about the now and we talk about the then, but we don't talk about the then, right? There's no origin.
Pre-then.
The pre-then, right? The first then.
Yeah. Then one. Generation. We don't know how they met. And I'm thinking maybe they met in a Sears
in a demo treehouse. Do you know what I mean? Right? And maybe it's one of those things where it's like random. No, like it's like yeah. Okay.
They get locked in the Sears overnight.
Okay. Hang on. I just pulled my headphones out of my thing because I'm so excited. Hang on. All right. So okay. Yes. Okay. They all got locked in a Sears. Why? For different reasons. Maybe they all
one's got the mum and dad is fighting.
Yes.
And arguing, and so she wanders off and they don't notice.
Right. One is shopping for. Now this is going to be dark, but it needs to happen. It's the dad and it's the family that's shopping for like suits to go to their mom's. The mom who died's funeral.
Jeez. The one who has the mother, you know, the one, what was her name? Chrissy,
mm-hmm.
who her mother was like she was brushing her hair 100 times.
Yeah.
So I think we can get, that was great characterization, by the way.
Very good.
Very good.
Very good.
Yes. I didn't say this. The characterization in this film was very good. There we go. That's what I liked about it.
Yeah, that's good.
Her room was very pink and pretty. And, you know, she's like, oh, the thing on your bed is sticking up and it needs to be folded down. I kind of get the vibe that she wasn't as much of a girly girl as her mum wanted her to be. So maybe she was like, oh, let's buy you a new, like, princess suite with, like, flipping flowers and all of this stuff. And she's, like, dragging her around and she gets so caught up in the stuff that she wants that her daughter's a bit like, ugh, and again wanders off.
And so they all wander off, and they all end up hiding because none of them want to be with their families. They hide in a model treehouse in this Sears. And that's where they meet and become friends. And then all of a sudden, because they're talking and getting along and talking about how their families are bad and, no, I don't want to go to mom and dad. No, tell me about it at the funeral. And then all the lights turn off and they are locked in the Sears. And that's where they form this seance pact, because that is a big theme of their friendship, that they'll be friends seances. And they'll do seances together and be friends forever. Here's what I'm thinking. That's the then, okay?
Yeah. Then the original then.
The original then. We skip over the then from this movie and it's the now, okay?
Okay.
All four of these women are struggling in their lives because they feel like something didn't go quite right, okay?
Yeah.
One is a failed author, one is a failed actor, one is a bored person, she's living in her mom's house. Yeah. And I don't know, Rosie O'Donnell's
whatever the other one was.
Rosie O'Donnell's still feels uncomfortable about her boobs, right? That's the that was the takeaway for her, and that's what's still happening. And I know you're thinking, he's going to talk about magic, isn't he? But hear me out, okay? Imagine this. They realized that they formed this pact in the past, and for whatever reason, the things that they chose, the paths that they chose did not work out. And they're all commiserating how their lives haven't worked out, and all of a sudden, the wind blows, and an old Sears advert that just happens to blow up against them, and they pick it up, and it's like the treehouse, and they realize if we build this treehouse, maybe that's what we should have done.
If you say travel in time, then
wait,
I'm gonna
no.
Kick you off the call.
How about the thing is, what if the treehouse is a reset, as like a big do-over button?
This is because we talked about the movie Click before we started recording, isn't it?
Maybe he did get to start over again when he broke that remote control. I can't remember.
I do think the idea of four adults who are all having a difficult time individually escaping back to the treehouse of their childhood, and then discovering each other there, and then it basically just being like a bottle episode of them all
I like that.
hashing it out in the treehouse and talking about their past and what went wrong, and then all actually realizing that things weren't as bad as they thought they were, and agreeing to support each other better is a good film.
And I think that's what happens. Maybe there's a thing where they, for whatever reason, because they went to a tarot card reader or whatever, they think if they go back to the treehouse, they'll be able to go back in time. And let's trick the audience into thinking maybe because there's a lightning storm, like in the original movie, or some other stuff happens. Maybe there's a really terrible storm and they really are hunkered down in this treehouse. And maybe when they open it up, there's a teaser where you think it's the 1970s and they've gone back in time, but actually it's still present day. And what we've done is spent most of this film in one room just talking it out. And they could have flashbacks. Yeah. They could flash back to the then. We could go to all sorts of thens, right? If you want. But the now is just in the treehouse and they're all just trying to figure out what went wrong. And, I don't know. Maybe it's one of those movies where in the end they go, you know what went wrong? Nothing. Actually, life's pretty okay once I think about it.
Or lots of stuff went wrong, but there's still time to fix it.
There's still time to, everything's fine because there's still time to fix it. You know what else didn't happen in this movie that I wish did? It would have been neat if they could have figured out how to get the then actors and the now actors to be in the same room at the same time.
Yeah, hug your younger self and tell her everything's going to be okay.
Right? Because that was the whole philosophy of the hippie of the Brendan Fraser hippie Vietnam guy.
Yeah.
He was just like, just get figured out. Life's gonna probably be fine. Probably here's some more cigarettes.
Yeah. And then they press there's a VCR player and they press the button to watch the old tapes, and that actually sends them back in time. And
I like the idea of a time travel movie that they don't actually travel through time, but they, for some reason, believe that they can. But what they actually do is talk about their feelings. That's cool, right? That works. That's a movie, probably already, but it's not because it's new and it's our movie. It's called
Every Now and Then I Fall Apart, and I Need You Now Tonight, and I Need You More Than Ever. And we'll only be lonely tonight.
And this is forever. Once upon a time, I thought I was falling in love. But now, I'm Christina Ricci.
There's nothing I can do. My treehouse travels through time.
Take that, Steven Spielberg. Right to the bank. Everybody says writing movies is hard. It's totally not.
It's really easy.
It's really easy.
Yeah.
You start with a movie, and then you change some things, and then you have a new movie.
Yeah. Hey, this person is in a situation and they learn something.
Great.
Done.
Give me a Golden Globe.
$20,000, please.
That's exactly right. Oh, some real person lived in the world. Let me hire, Matt Damon, and he'll put on a mustache and pretend to be him. Right? Oscar me. Right?
There was a person who was alive, and I'm going to pretend to be them and put it on a film.
It's so easy.
With the music.
It's so easy. Why do people think things are hard?
I don't know.
Because most people just don't see the world with the same pristine and joyous perspective that you and I do, and that's what makes us different and possibly better or maybe worse. I'm not sure. Either way, we do need to do one thing, and that's we need to rate this movie.
Okay.
So, Emma, I would like to know on a scale of 1 to 5, old-fashioned glass bottles of Coke poured over some ice cream.
Ooh. When was the last time you had an ice cream float?
Today. 17 minutes ago. I'm eating one right now. Years and years and years and years, because the two things are delicious, but mix them together, and what you have is what they call in the industry it's a big old cold mess is what it is.
Cold mess, yeah.
The ice cream doesn't go up the straw, and the soda tastes like it's got milk in it. Neat. So how many floats, how many Coke floats would you give the 1995 classic Now and Then?
I'm going to give it 2, I think, because it wasn't terrible. I think I'm being quite mean, probably, and it maybe deserves better. I'm supposed to like it. It's about women and empowering women and stories.
It's about girls and stuff. Yeah.
Girls and stuff. I don't know. I just thought it was a bit messy, and I just was a bit annoyed by that. So, and
that's fair.
I'm just in a bad mood right now. So I'm just gonna say 2.
I'm gonna give it 3.5.
Whoa!
You know why? Because I liked it, and it felt nostalgic, and it was just sort of nice. Sometimes you just want to put on a movie. Okay, it wasn't very emotionally taxing. It wasn't very mentally difficult. But.
All things I look for in movies.
Yeah. And the things that I don't like. It wasn't that. Well, actually, there were scary bits. There was a couple of scary bits. The nighttime was scary.
She fell in a big hole. Come on.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
Full of storm water, and it was going to definitely
get out the
kill
hole?
her.
There's a rat in there.
Also, Christina Ricci pretended to drown at that one point. That was also scary.
Oh, yeah. That was also crazy. Yeah, what?
Come on. And then apparently, according to the narrative, that was not the first time she's faked her own death.
What?
I liked it because it was weird and it was nostalgic, and I don't know. Maybe I just got hung up on that whole Brendan Fraser hippie bit, but it really spoke to me,
Yeah.
We all need to meet a weird old cigarette handing out hippie on the highway who sets us off on not the right path, not the wrong path, but
Well, you know what I say to that? Why you try and meet the weird hippie when you could be the weird hippie? I think I see that in your future. You could do that.
Yep. Just handing out words of wisdom whilst I rattle through this town, searching for something and, not displaying my purple heart because, war is hell. Am I right?
Yeah. There's going to be a great promotional activity that we'll do at some point for the podcast. Just wander around a town handing out wisdom to people. Also listen to our podcast. Thank you. Bye.
That's the wisdom.
Off you go on your journey.
Maybe what we'll do is we'll write the name of our podcast vertically across individual cigarettes, and then we'll hand them out, and we'll say, "Hey, man, do whatever you want to do. Here's a cigarette." Is this an advertisement for a podcast? I don't know, whatever, just like and subscribe and comments below. Thanks.
Yeah,
Peace,
man, follow your bliss. Do what you want, man. Also, listen to this thing, and if you could leave a review, that would be great. Thanks.
Peace and love.
Peace and love, man.
And also don't forget to share this on your social medias at Plot Twisters Pod. Yeah. Smoke 'em up, Johnny. Smoke 'em up.
And it's a candy cigarette.
That actually is a really good idea. It's dark, but it's
idea.
actually not, But you'd have to the writing would be very, very small, and the messaging is still probably flawed because cigarettes are bad. We've talked about this before. Smokers are jokers. Listen, I could give you a whole rant about why you really shouldn't do that and why you should increase your fiber consumption. But I'm cool and I'm young, and I don't talk about those things,
Yeah.
Well, when the things start to fizzle out, you know what that means. That means it's time to end the podcast. So anyway, thanks for listening to this episode of Plot Twisters.
Leave us a review on Apple Podcasts if you have the time.
And we'll see you next time, man.
Bye. Peace and love.
Peace out. Bye.
Sorry, I'm melting right now.